Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, let's jump right in. Apple's made a move. They've stopped signing iOS and iPadOS 18.4.1. So what does that actually mean? Well, basically, Apple isn't authorizing downgrades to that specific older version anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And this happened roughly a week after they put out iOS and iPadOS 18.5.
Right, so timing's pretty quick.
It usually is.
And the key thing for you, the listener, is this. Once you update to 18.5, going back to 18.4.1, that standard way,
That's the way, yeah.
plugging into your computer, iTunes, or Finder, holding that key, that's off the table now. That option's gone.
It is. So our mission here really is to figure out why this matters, like who it actually impacts, and what it means for you if you're using an iPhone or iPad.
Okay, let's dig into that. Why would someone even want to go back to an older version? Historically, I know there was a big link to jailbreaking, right?
Oh, absolutely. That was, for a long time, a primary reason. Downgrading let people install older software that had vulnerabilities, ones that the jailbreak tools could use.
To customize things Apple doesn't allow.
Precisely. But like the source material points out, that's become less of a driving factor recently. I mean, we haven't really seen a major public jailbreak since, iOS 16?
Yeah, it's been a while. So, okay, if jailbreaking isn't the main thing anymore, why else might someone want to downgrade? Like a regular user?
Well, that's the interesting part. Sometimes updates, even from Apple, can have issues, bugs. The source gives some really concrete examples.
Oh yeah, like what?
Remember the launch of the M4 iPad Pros? Apparently, the initial iPadOS 18.0 software actually bricked some of them. Just stopped working.
Wow, okay, on a brand new expensive device. That's
bad.
exactly.
Yeah.
Not ideal. And there were others, like iOS 16.0 apparently kept asking for permission every single time you tried to paste something from the clipboard.
Oh, that sounds incredibly annoying. Just constant pop-ups.
Right, little things that just break your workflow. Or iOS 14.7, that one apparently broke the feature where your Apple Watch could unlock your iPhone if you had Touch ID. That's a convenience feature you probably rely on, and then poof, it's gone after an update.
Exactly. And even further back, iOS 13.2 had that problem with being way too aggressive in closing apps running in the background.
Right, you switch away for a second and come back, and the app has to reload completely.
Yeah. So the source rightly says these kinds of major bugs are, uncommon for Apple, but they do happen. And when they do, being able to roll back to the previous stable version is, well, it's a really nice option to have.
It definitely makes sense why you'd want that escape hatch. So, bringing it back to today, with 18.4.1 no longer being signed, if you're on 18.5, you can't use that standard restore method to go back.
Nope. That path is closed. If you try to restore your device now, it does what's called a forced update and restore, meaning it'll only install the latest signed version, which is currently 18.5.
Okay. But you mentioned the source talks about another way, something called DelayOTA.
Ah, yes, DelayOTA. Now, this is interesting. It's not quite a downgrade path from 18.5. It's actually a way for people on older firmware, say older than 18.4.1, to upgrade to 18.4.1, even though it's not being signed anymore.
How does that work?
It uses a special profile that basically tells the device to look for that specific older update. And Apple leaves this upgrade path open for about 90 days after they stop signing the firmware publicly.
So even though you can't downgrade from 18.5 to 18.4.1,
right,
if you were still on like 18.3, you could potentially use DelayOTA to jump up to 18.4.1 for a limited time.
Exactly. It's a window for upgrading to that specific version, even after the main signing window has closed. Kind of a niche thing, but potentially useful for some.
Gotcha. It's a specific workaround, not a general downgrade solution.
Correct.
Now, the source, IDB, they had some opinions on this whole signing practice, didn't they?
They did, yeah. They took a pretty strong stance, basically arguing that users should have the freedom to install any official firmware they want on their devices.
What was their reason?
It really comes down to ownership. Their quote is something like, "These are our devices that we pay for, so the software shouldn't be just a means of control by Apple." They feel users should have more say, especially about rolling back to older official versions.
It definitely taps into that bigger debate, user control versus the ecosystem security and stability that Apple wants to maintain.
It's a constant tension in tech, for sure.
So if people listening are curious, is iOS version X still being signed for my specific iPhone model? Where can they check that?
The source points to a great website, ipsw.m. You just go there, select your device, and it shows you exactly which firmware versions Apple is currently signing for it. It's real time.
Okay, ipsw.me. Good tip. And if someone did want to find older firmware files, maybe for experimenting or for that DelayOTA thing.
The source mentions their own downloads page as a place to potentially find those IPSW files. So yeah, resources are out there if you need them.
Good to know.
Definitely. Being aware of these tools is helpful.
And just for context, the source also mentioned a few other Apple-related bits of news, right? Just to paint the broader picture.
Yeah, just a quick roundup. Things like Apple may be letting users in the EU replace Siri. That could be huge.
Oh, okay.
And a fix for low speaker volume on Apple Watch. The date for WWDC 25's keynote. Oh, and macOS Sequoia, phasing out the old Apple filing protocol. Plus, Google launching a new app.
Yeah.
Just, other stuff happening.
Right, the tech world keeps spinning.
Always.
Okay, so let's wrap this part up. The main takeaway here is Apple stopped signing iOS and iPadOS 18.4.1. That means the easy standard way to downgrade from the latest version, 18.5, is gone.
Exactly. And the impact on you really depends. If you're happy on 18.5, maybe it doesn't matter much. But if you hit a bug, or if you had other reasons, perhaps future jailbreak hopes, that straightforward path back to 18.4.1 is now shut.
It really does make you think about your device, doesn't it? Like, you own the physical thing, but the software, who's really in control. So, here's something to chew on. What does owning a device truly mean today? Think about how you feel about software updates, about the control you have, or maybe the control you wish you had. It's definitely, it's something to consider in your relationship with your tech.